we can, get into it. So number 5, okay? Ready to try? Ready to try number 5? Okay. So let us look at that. Let me also get on the same page. Avichara krito bandha vicharena nivartate tasmad jiva paratmano sarvadaiva vicharayet. Yeah. So very beautiful, and at least one verse that we can understand from 1 to 5. That's why we have honed in on this one. This is going to be our lifeline, and it is going to take us through, forward and backwards both, and a wonderful place to start. So, avichara krito bandha, we have seen the verse. That which is caused by avichara, vi plus char, and vichara means inquiry, and some places translated as discrimination, like in this book. Yeah, this big fat book of the whole Panchadashi. That's why I brought that down, just to see what it is. Discrimination, I suppose, is okay, but the thing is, it doesn't give the purport of what we are trying to see here, because it's all in the correct way of grasping the Sanskrit. And so vichara, discrimination, but then discrimination is a vague word. What are you discriminating? Who is discriminating? And it's used in so many contexts. So a better translation is enquiry. So the so-called bondage, bandhana, is due to lack of inquiry. We saw, correct? Lack of inquiry means inquiry is not enough. What does that look like? Once a year on the birthday, the person thinks, who am I? What for I have put here? What all I have accomplished, and still I feel sad. And so this is a kadachit kaha in Sanskrit. Kadachit kaha means kabhi kabhi vichar karne wala. Sometimes, vaguely, once a year, something happens, because the only thing that is increasing are the candles on the cake. And perhaps the waistline after eating the cake. And so there's nothing else that is increasing, but then I feel depleted and I feel like I want something more, and then that vichara is just for that brief moment, and then after that, it is swept away. What is swept away? Not the doubts. Or the vichara itself is swept away, finished, because on to the next thing, People don't really dwell on important questions. They don't think, how to do this inquiry, where should I go, how will this going to happen, do I need help, all that is too far. That gives people a headache. So, you don't go that far. You just have a vague thought, well, maybe I should do something about this. That is one way, that is as good as no inquiry. Inquiry, abhavarthe nanj. We saw that yesterday. No, once in a while if it's done, it's as good as not. And then there is the next fellow, alparthe. Means inquiry is there, but not sufficient. Not sufficient because the problem at hand is to be, reckoned with properly. And so this was really insufficient. It was inconsequential. The first example, once in a while, every birthday, the person has a fleeting thought, and that's it. There is no other spuranam, no other movement takes place. And the scenario number 2, what does this fellow do? Alparthe, nanj, because the negation has the meaning of insufficient enquiry. This person is the soda bottle enthusiasm wala, So soda can or soda bottle, when you open, what happens? First you give it a good shake. You have to give it a good shake. No, that's not fair. Why are you shaking it up? Well, because that's life. It's only after the life has shaken up this person, the person is all tumultuous inside, some trauma has happened, something that he or she cannot understand, is in a lot of, pain, emotional pain, and then suddenly Swami comes to town. Yeah, Swami comes to town, everybody goes to hear Swami and see Swami. He or she also goes to hear Swami and see Swami. And then what happens? The bottle is opened and the volcano, cola volcano happens, and the enthusiasm is like that, it hits the ceiling. And the person thinks, I'm going to get this knowledge. I'm going to do everything. In fact, Swami, why the Swami has to go? I'm going to build this Swami an ashram, and I'm going to keep the Swami right here so that it can be my personal Swami. I can do that. I have the financial means, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to, just make everything happen, and I'm going to get this knowledge. And then what happens, next day, slowly wanes. Slowly wanes. And you see this everywhere. And, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope we won't see it in the 1-month course. Generally, that's what happens. Everybody signs up with a big, gusto. And then 4 or 5 classes later, been there, done that, jaded, faded jiva goes back to life as usual. But I don't think it will happen with all of you, because when I read all the little things that you have sent, what are those things? Those little questions and everything. There is a lot of jignasa, and it is just, all of you are amazing. So, but generally speaking, present company excluded, generally speaking, there is a great fervor, and then it goes fuss, like the soda can stops making noises, and the soda goes flat, of no use at all. This is called alparthe, this avichara, dies down. Because what happens is that it's not that they lost the sense of time, or they didn't have enough time, or they forgot to prioritize. What happens is that jaded feeling, that routinized feeling that life is just blah, and then life with Vedanta is also blah blah. That's the feeling. That hopelessness and despair that rules all other parts of life is borrowed and sits like that. That hopelessness sits like the mother bird and hatches it, so that one doesn't go back. That is what the whole thing is. It is what? Avichara is due to insufficient drive, insufficient interest, insufficiently cultivated qualifications, and insufficient hope and shraddha, receptivity, insufficient reverence for the knowledge. Alparthe, that of the avichara. One was non-existent, and the other is what? Insufficient. What's the third one? Yesterday we saw 4 meanings. And then what is the other one? Alparthe, abhavarthe, anyarthe, very important. Anyarthe means what? Other than. So everything other than vichara, this person is doing. This person has a vague idea that it is due to some enquiry, something is not happening. And then it's not about enquiry, something is not happening, something is lacking, something is missing. And therefore, what will I do? I will catch the nose, catch the toes, stand on the head. Nothing wrong in standing on the head. We recommend that highly. Anything that gives blood supply to the brain, we recommend. But that cannot, standing on the head, cannot stand in for the enquiry. Anyarthe a. Anyarthe nanj. The negation anyarthe means I do everything except, everything is done, except the enquiry in the proper way. So the problem is one of not knowing. And so therefore the antidote is to know. I do everything other than to pursue the knowledge. And such a person will also feel the need for a teacher. And then, so they are kind of on the right track. What kind of a teacher they will choose? The one who is in permanent maunam. Doesn't talk. Does not talk at all. And, such a teacher, if you choose, what will happen? Nothing. That's all. No, but didn't Dakshinamurti also teach in silence? Mauna Vyakhya Prakatita Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. He also taught in silence. Well, but the question I have to ask you, if you say that, is are you Sanak Kumara, Sanat Sujata, Sanaka or Sanandana? Are you any of those sages sitting at the feet? Well, not really. Okay then. Case, I rest my case. I don't know what to do with this. It's something, it's not a happy mic. Okay? So, anyway, so the thing is that, the avichara is because of some other problem here. And what is the problem? The problem here is that I'm not understanding the problem and I'm going to resolve it through some other means. So this person is somewhat a rebellious person because the meaning is very clear. Avichara krito bandha. And here the person is not doing vichara because why should I study only this? Why should this be the only way? Why can't there be any other way? It's like you tie a big, I'm going to talk about this longer, you tie a big bandage on the eye and say, I'm going to see through the ears. Why should it be the only way? So this is a very big problem. And so therefore, this is anyarthe, and then finally, viparitarthe. Viparitarthe means opposite of avichara, opposite of vichara, durvichara siddha. Durvichara means wrong enquiry. And what is the wrong enquiry here? Not insufficient enquiry, not absence of enquiry, not other than enquiry, but the opposite of the proper enquiry, improper enquiry. What form might that take? Brahman is to be experienced. Supreme, infinite consciousness, at once bliss. Oh, one more word is this. So, supreme, supreme, infinite consciousness, which is at once bliss. Something like this, Supreme, immortal, eternal, infinite consciousness, which is at once bliss. Did you understand? No. So they also don't understand anything. So they say, no, this is to be experienced. This is, and then they will come and give talks. Those who know don't talk. Those who talk don't know. And then they proceed to give a 2-hour lecture on whatever they are going to talk about. And then we have to come to the conclusion, according to their own standards, whether they know or not know. Because they just said, what did they say? Those who know don't talk. And then if you say that, and if you contradict yourself and talk for 2 hours, what conclusion should I come to? That you really don't know. So this is durvichara, and this is the spiritual, the so-called spiritual world abides in durvichara, really. It keeps it going and going and going and going, like the Energizer battery. All kinds of wrong thinking pervades this. This is how you have to do, this is what, all kinds of posturing. I don't even know what is there, but it is a lot. Once in a while I encounter it in some interfaith meets, but rest of the time, thankfully, I'm spared of all that. So this is what the problem is. And then avichara krito bandha. So all these, whether it is absence of inquiry, insufficient inquiry, and then other than inquiry, wrong inquiry, all of them lead to the same ditch called bandha. That's what it is. You are not able to free yourself. And what is the nature of this bandha? The nature of this bandha is avichara kritaha, that it is made by avichara. So it is a human-made bandha. And this is a human problem, because animals don't think I have to inquire into the nature of the self. The dog who goes to that, what is that called? That where you give a prize, they get a prize? Show, dog show. Dog show? Yeah. You go to the dog show. And then let's say the dog lost, correct? Because it was average looking. They have all kinds of categories. There's even a prize for the ugliest dog. So this was neither the most beautiful dog, nor it was the most ugly. It was the ugliest dog. So it did not get a bow or a medal. And so what do you think it does? It comes home thinking, what's wrong with me? Oh, I'm just a loser. How come I never get a prize? Even last year I did not get a prize. The year before that also someone else took the prize. And I have a pedigree. I don't have a degree, but I do have a pedigree. But still it is of no use. I think I need to do enquiry. No. The dog doesn't even care about going to the show. It's all a show for the human beings. It's a very sad thing. They make them go all around. The dogs are happy just being and meeting other dogs and wagging their tail. That's all. They think it's a big party. They don't think, oh, I have to perform, I have to be really good, I have to strut around like this, I have to do this. Whatever they are trained to do, they do. That's all. And when the dog wins, if a dog wins and the dog's name is called, dog doesn't go to receive the certificate. Owner goes. So really speaking, the animal doesn't have, that kind of a problem with conscious, that it is not, it's got some consciousness in the sense that it is conscious of itself. It recognizes its own species, it recognizes other species, predators, etc. It is not having any other, it's not self-conscious enough to have complexes centered on the I. Those complexes centered on the I here are called bandha, which is the cause, or the cause for this is avichara. Non-enquiry into the nature of the I makes me make mistakes centered on the I. This is a universal and a human problem, not a problem for, our four-footed friends or creepy crawly friends. None of them have this problem. Whether they are khagas, khe gacchati, those who go in space and then move in space, or uragas. What is uraga? Urasi gacchati, goes with the help of the chest, propels themselves forward, snakes and other kinds of reptiles. And then what? Agaha nagachati, sits in one place like coral and sea anemones, all these things. Sea sponge, they just sit in one place, they are very much alive. You try to pick them and they will, they will show you who's boss. starfish, etc., they don't go. They may move once in a while when no one's looking, but they don't really move. Agaha, so it doesn't matter how they go, but they don't have this problem of self non-acceptance, self-judgment, self-criticism, and being very self-conscious and having complexes centered on the self. They don't have this problem. So the vichara is not for animals. Giraffe doesn't have to think, why I'm like this, I need to get plastic surgery and make the neck smaller. No, not at all. Neither does the monkey go to its guru and say, I need some remedy for monkey mind. I am very restless. I'm unable to sit, let alone meditate. It doesn't need that. It's happy being restless. This is how it is, and it is not in having a fight with Maya, with Prakriti, with nature. It's not having a fight. It's not saying I want to be other than what I am. It has no problem whatsoever being what it is. And so therefore, the problem a problem of avichara is with who? Us. This is the human lot. And that's why the human being is addressed here, is that this avichara siddhaha bandhaha. So that which is established by avichara is a sense of bondage centered on the I. And because that avichara comes from a certain flawed, fallacious, therefore logic. I am a human being, therefore I have problems. I am no good, therefore no one likes me. I am an idiot, therefore I am not getting a job. Or I have a job and I don't like the job, therefore I must be no good. See, it's circular reasoning with a faulty, therefore logic. And here it says, therefore, tasmat, this is a different logic, please do enquiry. Please do proper enquiry, because the enquiry rahita means without enquiry what happens? Nothing is happening without enquiry. And so may the enquiry be done. May the enquiry be done, and when the enquiry is done, then you will have some results. Because the enquiry is the starting point of Vedanta, really speaking. But then how to do the enquiry? Somebody said this is very simple. You keep asking the question, Koham, who am I? Who am I? And then that's it. You don't need guru. People say this even now. This is a kind of a specific and, in my view, a wrong reading of what Ramana Maharshi was teaching. Ramana Maharshi also started with the question, who am I? But he took it in a different way. And it has a lot more steps, that kind of an inquiry. It does not, negate the need for a guru. It does not negate the need for Vedanta. In fact, it talks about something which is very subtle. But some of the people who didn't understand that, what did they say? It's very simple. The inquiry is so simple. Who am I? 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 And you can try with different accents. Who am I? Who on earth am I? Who am I? You can try just to keep it interesting, to keep it going. And then what will happen? Very simple. Who is asking the question? The person who knows or who doesn't know? Obviously, who doesn't know. So if you don't know what answer will come, donkey. That's what. Why? Because that's what all the people in my village called me donkey, affectionately, and and so that's what it is. That's the answer that will come. Pujya Swamiji would always give he would make a wonderful joke. he would say that in a room full of people, you say Rama, because it's a common Indian name, half the people will look, thinking, oh, maybe they are calling me, maybe it's me, because half the people are named Rama. And then you say Krishna, then the other half will look, because Krishna is another common name. And then Swamiji would say idiot, all of them will look. Because that's what they have internalized, and at some point somebody has been called donkey, monkey, idiot. So that is the answer that will come. No, it is for people who already know. Are you mad or what? If you already know, will you keep asking, who am I, who am I? That is certifiable, okay? If you don't know and ask, okay, it's forgiven because you didn't know better. Yeah. But then if you know, who will ask? Whoever knows will not ask, correct? Because you already know, and you're not some kind of a mad person to keep asking, who am I? Oh, Satchidananda. Oh, good. Who am I? Satchidananda. Wonderful. Who am I? Paramatma. Oh, wonderful. If you know, why will you ask? You will not ask. So this who am I, going down this who am I road is very difficult. And if you don't know and ask, what use is it? Somehow the inner guru will respond. You'll keep waiting. That's all it is. There is some allergy for outer guru. There is an allergy. And therefore, here it says, the proper inquiry brings in a lot of things that we need to discuss. Because it says, Tasmat vicharah kartavyah. Tasmat jiva paratmanau vicharayet. It says that. So therefore, and in the Viveka Chudamani, it says beautifully, Ato vicharah kartavyah jignasoratma vastunah samasadya gurum bhaktya prahvah prashraya sevanaihi. And then priched jnatavyam atmani. So, very beautifully it gives. Ato vicharah kartavyah. Who should do this vichara? Jignasuhu. So, the person desirous of knowing that I am nothing other than, and I am nothing like what the conclusions I have come. I have nothing other than what I seek, which is the whole. May such a person do enquiry. Ato vicharah kartavyah. How to do this enquiry? First of all, who to do this enquiry? Jignasuhu. The person desirous of knowing this, may they do enquiry. What is the topic of enquiry? Atma vastunah vicharah kartavyah jignasuhu. So may the person desirous of knowing do the enquiry about Atma Tattva, means the truth of oneself. Atma Vastu, who is this I? What is this Atma? May they enquire properly into the self. You see, all the questions are answered. What to do? Enquiry. Who should do? The Adhikari. Who is the Adhikari to do enquiry? Nice rhyme. Adhikari, enquiry. Who is the Adhikari to do enquiry? The one who is interested in learning. Jignasuhu. Interested in what? Knowledge. Desirous of self-knowledge. May she or he do enquiry. Into what? Atma Vastu. Into the truth of the self. How? Samasadya gurum bhaktya. Bhaktya, with reverence, with shraddha, samyak asadya. Asadya means having approached nicely. How do you approach a guru nicely? Nicely means vidhivat. Vidhivat means according to the established rules of how to approach gurus nicely. Yeah, because the Vedanta teachers are not Jehovah's Witnesses. They don't come with a flyer, Tattvamasi flyer, and then knock on the door and say, I want to share the good news with you. Tattvamasi. They don't say that, okay? Yeah. What, you have to go and you have to say, may I please learn from you. But then you advertised your 1 month course. You advertised, I saw the advertisement and then applied. That's what I want to tell you. You applied. See, I have washed my hands off now. You applied. You replied. You applied. I'm just supplying. That's all. You applied, I supplied. That's all. So it's a demand-supply basis. Clean economics. Vedanta is. If there is demand, there is supply. If there is a question, there is reply. Otherwise, chup. Yes, mauna vyakhya. What else is there, So, therefore, the thing is this, that it's all incumbent. See, I mean it when I say Vedanta is all about you. It's about you. So, really speaking, this knowledge is about you, it's centered on you, it is incumbent upon you to seek it, it is incumbent upon you to cultivate the desire to learn, it's incumbent upon you to seek a teacher, it's incumbent upon you to ask for the knowledge. So the gurus are slippery, they just slip off. Yeah, because it's all about I, that's all it is. And so here in the Viveka Chudamani, that in that particular verse we are discussing, I quoted that verse because it's very similar to this here. Ato vicharah kartavyah there, and here tasmad jiva paratmanau sarvadaiva vicharayet. So same thing, same exact thing. And so here in the Viveka Chudamani, it's very easy and clear who is doing the enquiry, the Jignasu. What is the topic of enquiry? The truth of oneself. And then, when to do the enquiry? When one understands that one doesn't know. Same thing, Jignasu. How to do the enquiry? Seek a teacher. This is very important. And it is important because it is talking about a very salient issue about Vedanta Shastra. So before we bring in the teacher and the need for the teacher, we have to look at how Vedanta operates. What Vedanta is, first of all. Vedanam Antaha. It is the truth of oneself, which is now in a written form, but for several thousands of years it was orally communicated. It was a verbal knowledge called Karna Parampara, communicated from the mouth of the teacher to the ear of the student. And when the student became a teacher, from the mouth of that teacher to the ear of the next generation of students. And so that is how this knowledge was, maintained in a sacred way, in an extremely sacred way, without any distortions, without any kind of a, issue. It was maintained for so many thousands of years. At some point it was written down because the writing tools and all got developed, and then, we had leaves over which the manuscripts to write. And then there were goats. Some of the manuscripts, missing manuscripts, they assimilated well, and then they had, they digested them very well. That's why the goats are called Ajaha, unborn. Atma also Ajaha, unborn, not subject to birth. Yeah, and not an accident. It's all in the language. So assimilating the Vedantic texts, they became Aja because that Ajatvam was written down in the Vedanta. And then, so this is, this is the teaching, and the teaching is, about the I. It reveals something about the I that is hitherto unknown. Why is it unknown? Because of a lack of a means of knowledge, it is unknown. It's not unknown for any other reason, because there is no means of knowledge. I somehow know that I am okay, but most of the time I don't feel okay. Is that okay? I somehow know somewhere that I am okay, but I am not familiar with that I, and I don't know that for sure. And so the Atma becomes a sitting duck for all kinds of mistakes centered on the I. I must be wrong. I am subject to guilt. I am subject to birth. I am subject to death. I am an idiot. I am a donkey. Donkey is my middle name. All these things are because of not knowing the truth of the self. And so really the message of Vedanta which is communicated is not a philosophy. We don't subscribe to the thought that Vedanta is a philosophy. And then another reigning misunderstanding is that there are 6 systems of philosophy. What are they? Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and then Sankhya, Yoga, and then Buddha, or some, not Buddha, one more thing is there, and then the Vedanta. It is seen as one among the 6. It's a very sad state of affairs, and you'll see this in history books, you'll see this in spiritual teachings, you'll see this in the same thing being taught in ashrams, and you'll see this in also contemporary spiritual books. 6 systems of philosophy. Vedanta is a system of philosophy, right alongside yoga and Nayayika, Vaisheshika, Charvaka, this Vaka, that, this one, that one. And this is one more way of looking at the truth of the world, the truth of the self, and what not. And so therefore it is very confusing, and therefore it is very difficult to take seriously, because I feel like I have 5 other options at least. These are just the traditional options. If you take the modern options, there are so many. Blue light, yellow light, and hear the soundless sound. How to hear the soundless sound? It's called anahata. Hear the soundless sound. See the sightless sight. All these kinds of wrong thinkings are there. Lingvini, Kundalini, yeah. All these things. And then, it goes up. And then people ask me, I think my Kundalini is going up. I just say, what goes up must come down, settle down. That's all. We are not interested in things that go up and down. What is this? Elevator, a lift. You go up and down. Children do that, they press the button, go up, come down. This is not childish antics. I'm not interested in that which goes up and down. In fact, that's life. My yo-yo life has brought me into this, on the brink of this inquiry, because I'm sick of going up and down. I've been there, done that. I want to be steady now. I want to know that I'm not subject to going up or coming down. And so, like all these, so there are so many options, and then Vedanta is just one more option. And then they'll throw in Karma Yoga also. That is also one more way of finding out the truth of the self. Why do you need all this? There are so many paths, Psychopath, sociopath, starting with that. This path, that path. What path? What path is there? The path is very clear here. There is no path. And that's why in the Brahma Sutra it is written that the path to moksha, freedom from ignorance to freedom, the path is like the trail left by a bird in flight. What kind of a trail does the bird in flight leave? No trail. We are not talking of a jet plane, okay? Yeah. We are talking of a bird. There is no path. The you that you think you are not. It's a dismissal of the ignorance, and the light that you are, the glory that you are is already revealed and it shines. The glory that you are is obfuscated by a lot of overlays of wrong thinking. The wrong thinking is removed by the right means of knowledge, and therefore there is nothing more to talk about. If the problem is durvichara or avichara, wrong thinking or lack of thinking, then you have to have proper inquiry. Simple. It is so simple. So therefore Vedanta is not a philosophy. It is the truth of yourself. And then people, there is a lot of pressure to have options. People need elbow room, and people get very confined and they get, claustrophobic. Spiritually claustrophobic, because they start feeling, tied in. They start feeling tied in or, trapped in a certain way. This is not a spiritual problem. This is a psychological problem. Yeah. This is a psychological problem, and this has to be properly thought about and addressed. It's not a wrong thing. Psychological problem, because everybody has grown up being told what to do all the time. Some problem?
Jehovah Witness.
Jehovah Witness.
There was somebody passing on something.
Democrat.
Oh, okay.
That's just bad.
Not Jehovah's Witness. Okay. So this is, we have to understand the problem. And the problem here is not knowing the truth of myself. So the antidote to not knowing is knowing. And this feeling of being trapped and feeling that, oh my God, this is just a fanatic solution and I need some more room. Why can't there be other ways? Why can't I sniff my way to Vedanta? To oneness. Why can't I intuit my way to oneness? Why can't I just wake up and then, just wake up and then have this amazing experience of oneness that never goes away? Why can't I go to somebody who bops me on the head with a feather of the peacock and then I awaken to oneness? These are all spiritual romanticism. The problem is you're never away from the oneness. Even the person pining for oneness is all one. Okay? One of a kind. And so therefore there is no reason. This has to be understood. So these are all issues of the unconscious, collective unconscious, because everybody has the similar issues. Issues of needing to be the chosen one, and such a person will say, if there is need for Guru should come after me, as though Guru has no other work. Guru should choose me, and Guru should, make me feel special, and Guru should give me the knowledge, not the knowledge, an experience. Guru should look into my eyes and something should happen, and then the whole world should just be transformed completely. Sorry to disappoint. That's all I will say. Yeah, because this is very pragmatic and very practical. This is not about some kind of a mysticism or a romanticism where all these things are just there. I mean, I appreciate that these longings are there because they are part of the collective unconscious. Everybody has a longing to be accepted, to be saved, to be lifted up out of, the confusion, and to be embraced and to be wanted and belonging and loved. Either one is longing or wanting to belong. That's all it is. For a long time. And then so these longings come in they are just enacted, repeatedly enacted in the spiritual realm also. One can appreciate that, one can sympathize with that, one can empathize with that, no problem. But then we can't take these longings seriously and then look for solutions based on those longings. Because then you will be in the same place as you were before this quest. How? Before the person came into the spiritual quest, the person was an experienced hunter. Hunting experiences with the bow and arrow of longings. Those two things were their only belongings. And they kept hunting and capturing experiences in the hope that when they hoarded the experience, they would have infinity or whatever they were seeking, which was kind of the foreverness. So they hoarded things, they hoarded people. And then what? Many years and several marriages later, they understood that the hoarding is not helping. Approached a teacher, and then what? Started to collect teachers. People do that right here. In Eugene a few years ago, one man came and said, "Will you be my teacher?" I asked why, because never set eyes on him before. Why? Because I like to collect teachers. I asked the same question to Dalai Lama and made him my teacher. I asked the same question to some other Mataji, made her my teacher. I asked some Babaji and made Babaji my teacher. I asked some Guruji, made Guruji my teacher. Now I'm asking you. It's like you put, and then he said, I'll take a photo and put all the photos on the wall. Guru hog, that's all. What else to say? What else to say? So that collecting tendency has not gone. Still hunting experiences and things, but then hunting now spiritual experiences. You see, this is the problem. So you cannot let the longings decide this, because this is a completely pragmatic and an objective quest. There is no room for subjectivity. That's why it says ato vichara kartavyaha. When you go into the mode of vichara, there is a cognitive shift. There is no room for all this nonsense. Guru should choose me, cha cha cha. You can say this in a prom. My dance partner should choose me. This is nice for a prom. This is not, this is not how it is. This is all based on some romanticism. And vichara means zero subjectivity. That is what the meaning of the word vichara. Enquiry means I set aside and suspend the longings and do a serious enquiry, ready to be transformed by it. That is what it is. It's not that I'm holding on to business as usual, and also on the side little bit of enquiry, little bit of moksha, little bit of yoga, mostly bhoga. That's not what it is. There's no room for that. You see, the quest that is why Vedanta is not one more philosophy and one more kind of, what is that called, one more body of knowledge and one more option. There are no options. Where is the option? It's a choiceless choice. No, but what about the other systems? They are not systems. This is not one of them. And this is very clearly shown in the 4th chapter of the Mandukya Upanishad, especially in the Karikas. And in the Karikas of the Grand Guru of Adi Shankara, Gaudapada Acharya, he dismisses each and every one in such a nice way. All these 5 systems of philosophy, he says that he dismisses them in a beautiful way. He dismisses them by saying that I can see your point of view and I have no fight with any of you, because I can accommodate all of you and transcend all of you also. Beautifully put. It's called Alata Shanti Prakaranam. Alata means a joss stick. What is that called? Agarbatti, that incense stick. and you light the incense stick, and then there is a point, a glowing point, correct? Turn off all the lights and then have fun with this incense stick. You just see a red glow, and with the glow you can sign your name in the air with a flourish. You can draw a dog, a cat, a cloud, a beautiful design. You can do all kinds of things. All that is fine. And then you can twirl it clockwise, anti-clockwise, and then you stop. And then what is there? All that is there is that light of consciousness which has danced a myriad dances. And then it has come to rest. And when it comes to rest, all the things that were created, all these systems of philosophy and these bodies of knowledge and these solutions and that resolution and all this just goes. It is a totalizing, it's a totally transformative knowledge about you. So what is the pressure to look for options when it is very easily presented and it is easily assimilable? What is the pressure to keep looking for options? I don't understand. So that is also vichara. Why do I keep wanting options? Somebody is hungry and you say, here is some food. No, what else is there? And then children are experts. I'm not hungry for a sandwich, but I am hungry for chips. They will say that. It's okay with children. But unfortunately the same problem is with the inner children also. I'm hungry for knowledge, but other than Vedanta, what else is there? Let me see if there's something more interesting. Because this is what Tattvamasi. After that what? Fir kya? What will I do after that? All these are to be set aside. Ato vicharah kartavyah jignasuhu atmavastunah. Why? Because what Vedanta is not a body of philosophy. It is a means of knowledge. This is something that has to be, written down, internalized properly. It's a means of knowledge. That's why it's not like the yoga system of philosophy, for example, which talks about how to quieten the mind and how to align the body and how to be able to sit in meditation. It's talking about preparation. It's not a system of knowledge like the Nyaya philosophy, which is based on logic. You cannot say, I exist, therefore Ishvara exists. Ishvara is not derived logically. Neither is Jiveshvara Aikya. The oneness between Ishvara and Jiva cannot be established logically. Same thing with Vaisheshika. It's a system which is based on inference, the means of knowledge called inference. Nyaya is a means of knowledge also based on inference. Is based on inference. So like this, Vedanta is different. It accommodates all of them. It has no war with any of them. And like Gaudapadacharya says, if you wait long enough, they fight amongst each other and they die away. So it has no truck with anything. Why? Because its realm of operation is completely outside of all of them. That's why it's called a means of knowledge, like even the eyes. Can the eyes fight with the ears? Is it possible? No. Because what the eyes see, the eyes alone see. So any pramana, any means of knowledge that operates in its realm is the Raja, there is the king. It cannot be contradicted by another means of knowledge. So you cannot say the ears hear, therefore the eyes are wrong. Makes no sense. The ears have their own realm of operation, the eyes have their own realm of operation. So does the nose, so does the sense of touch, the sense of taste. All of them have their own realm. So each one cannot contradict the other. Number one. Similarly, Vedanta is also a means of knowledge. It cannot be contradicted by inference. It cannot be contradicted by, pratyaksha, which is the direct perception. It cannot be contradicted. It is its own means of knowledge. It is an additional means of knowledge to the 5 means of knowledge which we have at our disposal, with which we look at the world, categorize the world, come to conclusions about the world and the objects therein. What are those means of knowledge? Of course, the 5 primary means of knowledge. Seeing, the 5 senses, seeing, hearing, all this together is called pratyaksha. Aksham prati. Pratyaksha. That's the first pramana, the mula pramana, upon which all the other pramanas are based. Then what do you have? Anumana, inference. What does that look like? Fact number 1, you have a puppy in the house. Fact number 2, the slippers are nowhere to be found. Therefore what? Puppy has chewed up or hidden the slippers. Easy, inference. No, why not blame someone else? You can't, Very easy. You didn't see the puppy chewing up the slippers, but it's an inference because the puppy is there, enough. Puppy's swabhava, and based on that, you come to this conclusion. One step inference called anumana. And then you have something called presumption, called arthapatti, more than one step inference. Like on this all medical diagnoses are based. If it works on a rat, it will definitely work on you. Oh really? Yes, only 1 in 10,000 people brain tumor comes, but don't worry. Rare statistic, like this. This is all medical diagnoses, and these trials are based on arthapatti, presumptions and more than one step inference. Then what other means of knowledge do we have at our disposal? Upama, not upma. That what you have for breakfast we are not talking about. It is breakfast time in India now, so I am telling. So it's not upma, it is upama. Comparison, Like if you haven't seen something, if you say that there is this animal called Nilgai, which really means blue cow, but it's not a cow. It's a cross between, we can say, it looks like an antelope, and a buffalo. Then you know antelope, you know buffalo, and then you can say next time you go to India and you see this Nilgai, this bluish looking animal which looks like a cross between a horse, an antelope and a cow, then you say, okay, this must be Nilgai, Upama. And then you have, what else? Anupalabdhi, the cognition of absence, that is also a very important thing. Is there a flower in the palm of my hand? No. How do you know? Don't say I don't see it. You can't see absence. You can only see presence. But you see the hand and you don't see the flower. Correct? So it's based on pratyaksha, but it is its own means of knowledge. So these are the 5 means of knowledge that I have at my disposal, that I operate, that I am the king in operating these means of knowledges. Which one am I going to use to know the Atma? Which one? Pratyaksha. Am I going to see the Atma? Na. And then am I going to hear the Atma? Na. And I need to go over all the 5 senses? Na. And then Can I inductively come to the Atma? Can I infer the Atma? Somebody tried that. His name was Descartes, a French philosopher who said, I think, therefore I am. Thankfully, he reversed it at the end of his life. Some buddhi sphuranam took place and he reversed it. The problem was he was putting Descartes before day horse. This is what happens. I think, therefore I am. Suppose you don't think, do you cease to exist? No. Therefore he reversed it, I am, therefore I can think. So you can't intuit the Atma, you can't, infer the Atma. Forget one-step inference, what to talk of multi-steps. Upama, Atma is like, how many Atmas are there? One. What is it like? Unlike anything. So what are you going to compare? Even Vedanta writers have difficulty. They keep repeating Atma is like space, Atma is like sun. Only one or two examples, and that too they have to keep saying that it's not sun. They have to keep negating that. Then finally Anupalabdhi, Atma is zero, Atma is non-existent. Who is saying that? Atma. Ayyayo, what to do now? Better take a break. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just 5 minutes. Take a break and come back.